Hi, welcome to our lesson 23 for the B1 level. Let's start right away with our vocabulary. So, okay, the first word is alone. Alone, well, what's the meaning of that? Very easy, it's without other people, just being alone, right? Let's go with the other one. Number two, be fed up with. Be fed up with. Well, what is that expression? That is an expression. And the meaning of that expression is to feel bored and unhappy with a situation, thing, or person, right? So you can say, I am fed up with you, right? In a certain way. Okay, number three. Let's go with number three. Be friends with. What is to be friends with? Well, is to like someone and feel they are your friend. I'm friend of. You can say I am friend with, and you can say the name, right? Okay, number four. Number four, be someone's type. Be someone's type. To be the kind of person someone thinks is attractive. Be someone's type. Number five, become or make friends with. Become or make friends with. What's that? Well, to start being friends with someone you have recently met. Become friends with or make friends with. Number six, bossy. Bossy. Well, that's an adjective. That's always telling other people what to do. Bossy. Okay, number seven, chat. We have chat. Well, what's chat? Well, it's a friendly talk. A friendly talk. Chat. Then we have number eight. Number nine, friendship. What is friendship? Well, friendship is when two people are friends. Friendship. Number 10, get on with. That's an expression or a phrasal verb. Yeah, get on with. What's that? Well, it's if two people get on with each other, they like each other and are friends. Get on with. Number 11, honest. Well, very easy. That this describes someone who gives their real opinion about things and doesn't deceive anyone. Honest. Number 12, introduce. Introduce. Well, to tell someone other person name the first time that they meet. So you can say, let me introduce whoever, and then you introduce them, right? Number 13, meet. Meet. Well, to see and speak to someone, meet. 14, mind or not. I don't mind or I mind. To be angry or worried about something. Okay. Now, number 15, miss. What is miss? Well, miss is to arrive too late to get on a bus, train, or aircraft. You can say, I missed the bus, for example. 16, rude. Rude, well, that's behaving in a way which is not polite and upsets other people. Rude. Number 17, sense of humor. Sense of humor. Well, that's the ability to laugh and know that something is funny. Sense of humor. Number 18, share. Share. To have or use something at the same time as someone else. Share. Number 19, support a football team, for example. Well, it's to like a particular sport team and want them to win. For example, you can say, I support and give your national, it could be a football team or whatever team that you want. Next one, 20, supporter. Supporter. What is a supporter? Or someone who likes a particular sports team and wants them to win. Supporter. And 21, we have trust. Trust. What trust is to believe that someone is good and honest and will not harm you. Trust. And the last one is upset. Well, is to make someone feel sad or worried, upset. Okay, so that's the vocabulary for today. Something that we're going to learn, very important, is relative clauses. And let me help you with that because that is something very, very important and that we need to learn it step by step. So let's go over here, take out your pencil and notebook and write down this, please, because it's going to be very important. for for in general for our English when we're talking, and of course, just for us to understand it. Okay, what is a relative clause? Well, in this case, a subject or relative clause. If we're talking about a person or people in general, we use who or that. For example, I can say, if I want to join these two sentences, I saw a student. He was in my class. If I want to make these two sentences into one sentence, I will say, I saw a student who was in my class, or I can say that was in my class. So he in this case becomes who or that, right? Now, subject or relative clause about things. If I'm talking about things in general, for example, I have two different sentences. I saw a jacket. It was very expensive. So in this case, I can say I saw a jacket which was very expensive or that was very expensive. So there's something very important. For things, we cannot use who. Who or that, we can use it for people. But for things, we can also, well, we use which or also that. Okay, so in this case, I saw a jacket that was very expensive. Now, object or relative clause for people or person, for example, I phoned the hairdresser. In this case, this is the object, right? Um, okay, so in this case, so I phoned the hairdresser. My friend recommended him, right? So I will say, I phoned the hairdresser who my friend recommended or that my friend recommended. So every time we're talking about people is who or that. In this case, we are using it as the object, right? Now, or you can say, or I phoned the hairdresser my friend recommended. You can say that also. Now, object or relative clause about thing. If I say I made a cake, everyone liked it. So I make a cake which or that everyone liked. Or I made a cake everyone liked. Now, relative clause, place. If I'm talking about a place, for example, I know a club. The music is great there. So you can say, I know a club where the music is great. So in this case, if I'm talking about place, I'll be using the relative clause where. Now, relative clause using whose, right? For example, I phoned the woman. You gave me her name. So you can say, I phoned the woman whose name you gave me. Okay, so let's see, for example, because sometimes we get confused with whose and, for example, this other one, an object or relative clause for people. For example, I phoned the hairdresser, right? In this case, you say I phoned the woman, right? So most of the times we're going to be using whose if we don't have the exact information. In this case, I'm saying sorry, here, the hairdresser, my friend recommended, right? But here I'm just saying I phoned the woman. You gave me her name, right? So you can say I phoned the woman whose name you gave me, okay? Then we also have some expressions in this case when we use adjective preposition plus noun. So let me just, okay, but before continuing with the other part, let me help you with the difference between who and whose, because I think that requires a little bit of explanation. Let me just share again here. And well, normally when we use who, for example, who or that, who in this case, it's an abbreviation of, for example, here of, let me just zoom it a little bit. Okay, so who in this case is the same thing as who is or who has. For example, if you see it here in your booklet, for example, it says, I saw a jacket. I'm sorry, here. I saw a student. He was in my class. So I saw a student who was in my class. So again, I abbreviate who is in my class. Instead of saying who is in my class, I can say just who is. You see in this case, who, well, in this case, who was in my class or that was in my class. Or over here, for example, if I say I phoned the hairdresser, who my friend recommended, right? So who, in this case, I can say who is, well, in this case, who has or who is my friend, and I will just take out recommended, right? So in this case, who is in that case, who is that? Well, who is that my friend recommended, or who was, or who has. But if I'm using, in this case, whose, that's instead of using, uh, in this case, for example, her name or her car. So instead of saying her name, is I'm just saying whose. So in this case, I am abbreviating uh, uh, possession, right? So in this case, her name. So I will just say instead of saying whose, say her, or he means say instead of saying her, his, or our, etc. I will be saying whose. So that will be the way of using these relative clauses. So again, here, every time I have a preposition, sorry, forget the word, but let me see here. The a possession, right? Something that possess something, then I will say whose. But if I'm talking about who is or who has, then I'll be using just who or that. Okay, I know this can be a little bit confusing at the beginning, but we're going to practice it a lot in our book, and you will find it out the way of using it. Also, we're going to practice adjective plus preposition, noun or pronoun with ing, right? Yeah, now I remember this is a possessive pronoun, right? So every time we have a possessive pronoun, then we can use it instead of using a possessive pronoun, we can use whose, right? So again, that name belongs to the woman. So I say whose, right? Now, in this case, using afraid of or angry about something or with someone, or bad at or good at or different from, excited about, fed up with, full of, interested in, keen on, kind of, nervous of, worry about, and tired of. If you're going to use a verb after this, it will be a gerund. So use ing, for example. You can say, I am afraid of flying, right? Or you can say, I'm interested in learning English, right? So if you're going to be using a verb, remember you need to use it as a gerund with ing, with the ing form, with these expressions. So going back to our unit 2023, let's go very quick. Then we're going to, first of all, practice a little bit of speaking over here. So it says best friends. So in the introduction, it says we can't choose our family, but we can choose our friends. Look at the following list. Which of these are important for you? Mark this list 1 and 10. 1 is the most important, 10 is the least important. So please check, for example, if be honest is the most important for you, you can put 1, or be fun to be with, or like the same music as me, like my other friends, live near me, have lots of money, share my sense of humor, be kind when I'm unhappy, support the same football team as me, and like doing the same things as me. So you can check or do like a top 10 for these parts. Then in our live class, we're gonna work together and we're going to see which one. It says here, compare your answers. What did most people put first, second, and third? So wasn't what wasn't important? So we can maybe put like the top 3 to see which ones are important in the whole group, right? Very quick also in, well, it says look at the photographs of people on this page. Which person would you like to make friends with? Think about why. Okay, so you can tell me which of these people maybe you would like to be friends of, and maybe you can tell me why. Remember, you can send me these audios on my personal WhatsApp so that I can give you some feedback about your speaking. Now, corpus spot, meet and make. This is very important. For example, when do we use meet and when do we need to use make? In this first example, it says in the first lesson I knew a girl from Valencia. In this case, we take out knew. We don't use knew. We say I met a girl from Valencia, right? Or for example, here I did many new friends. We don't use the verbs do or did in this case. we use a make. So you say, I made new friends, but I miss my old ones. Then this one, the film begins at 7. So join me at 10. Well, you can say, meet me at 10. Uh, so meet, it can also be about joining or reunite with somebody. Instead of using those verbs, you can use meet. Okay, so this is something very important that we can learn. So we're going to be doing this listening, which is in the platform, and we're going to be practicing relative clauses. Again, for example, we're going to combine these two sentences using a relative clause. For example, he's got a friend, and the second sentence, he sometimes get free tickets. So in this case, I'm going to say he's got a friend who sometimes get free tickets. Or for example, there's a match on Wednesday every evening. It'll be really good. Well, there's a match on Wednesday evening, which will be really good. So that's a very important way of practicing relative clauses. And we have again another one here, grammar spot, where it says look at the words in italics and choose the correct one. For example, I saw a flat. It is very near the university. So which of these two you're going to be using? Who or which? Well, choose it over there. Okay. Then we're going to do this activity, also 5 and 6, to keep on practicing relative clauses. This one we're going to be doing it in class, this activity. And we're going to be also practicing these adjective plus prepositions. For example, it's kind of Samantha to ask me, or I will never get tired. So we can practice these prepositions just as things that we have seen in the past that are very important for us to practice. Also, you can practice these adjectives: keen, tired, nervous, bad, excited, good, angry, afraid, interested, or fed up. And these are the prepositions using. And remember that after a preposition, we always use a gerund. You're going to be using a verb, right? So it's something very important. Then we have another activity. It says, read these quotations from a website. Do you agree with them? Write your own quotation. A real friend is someone who, so you can write your own quotations. For example, everyone is a friend until they prove they aren't. Or a true friend is someone who you can trust with your secrets, and so on. So you can maybe read these, and you can also give me some feedback about them, or give me why you think that's true, or maybe that's not true, right? And then we have some pronunciation exercises. So please do that part. We're gonna also doing a reading part, which is very important. When you read and you choose, in this case, choosing the right answer, A, B, and C. This is very important for vocabulary. Remember, I always tell you the same thing. By now, please, you need to start reading a lot, reading at least newspaper articles, or read a novel, buy a novel in English, something that you can have contact in English at least 10 minutes per day is very, very important for you to start reading right now, please. And then we're gonna have a speaking part, which we're gonna be doing this part in our live class. So it's a very interesting class, and please, if you don't understand something, let me know, and I will be, helping you as soon as possible, or as soon as I can. So thank you very much. We will see you then in our live class for lesson 23, and we are going to uh, finish, in this case, this module with lesson 24. So thank you, and we will see you then.